Yep.
Okay. So I wanted you to meet the entire team of students, MFE students, and maybe, and then I'll ask them. I know Idris and Dara's got questions, but I wanted you, maybe you could tell us a little bit, how did you get to Morgan Stanley and the kind of project you worked on and how it helped you? I mean, our history, basically, a little bit, like 5 minutes.
Okay, sure. So I think firstly I work with Professor Zorro from January 2022. So I just because my advisor know Professor Zorro, so I followed Professor Zorro for 3 projects. I think so, and then I did some project, and I think that's pretty interesting because I know Professor Zorro have that posters in front of his office. I guess somebody sent me the pictures, and then after I did those projects, and then I updated my resume, and then in July last year, 2022, then Professor Zorro gave me some connections. One is Artem, who is working in Morgan Stanley now, and then he told me maybe you can try this job. So I just have a few interviews and it's pretty smooth. So I would say I think the key factor in getting this job is first thing is the project. I think that's interesting and that's really helpful to update my resume. The second thing is the connections. So because you know that the connections in Morgan Stanley that will guarantee me a interview that which is important. And yeah, that's it. And you do know my background? I think did Professor Zoro
No,
told you.
maybe no. I didn't give them a background. Tell them a little about your background, which is interesting.
Yeah, okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I joined Lehigh in 2016 when I was when I graduated from China Tongji University, and then I joined the program. It's actually MFE, so I'm kind of also in MFE. So I joined the program MFE for 1 year, and then transferred to the math department. And my research field is the stochastic differential equation. And if this name is unfamiliar for you, I will give you another name, which is Brownian motion. I think everybody should know Brownian motion, right? At this conference. So, so when that's my research field, and I did my research in the stochastic differential equation for 5 years, and then at the next year, I decided to see maybe industry is also interesting, so let's have a try. So then I reach out. So I reach out for the so I get a reach out for Professor Zorro and did some project, and then I start my industry path. That's a smooth transition, I
Hey,
would say. Yep.
Rakshan, can you remind me again? What was this project that you worked with Damien?
Oh yes,
Remember
yes,
that? Yeah. What was that
yes,
about?
yes, sure. So there are 3 projects in total. The first one is with uh okay, I will start with the Damien's one. Damien's project is about the house index. It's kind of we have 10 cities, and those cities are near the metro station, and we want to see what's the relationship between different locations. So there are some houses in Seattle, there are some houses in Los Angeles, and we want to know if the house in Seattle increased 10%. So what will happen to the house in Seattle? Maybe it's a time series, right? So we know 3 months ago the house in Seattle increased at 10%. So what will happen to the houses in Los Angeles 3 months later, or opposite way, right? Because there's a causality. We don't know if the Seattle's house will impact Los Angeles or vice versa. Los Angeles impact the Seattle. That's our research. It's kind of 2 time series or multiple time series. So actually it's not 2, it's 10, right? We have 10 cities. So we want to see the house price in one city will cause a change in another city. So here we will use a VAR, which is a vector autocorrelation. Because it's a vector, we don't have only 2 time series, but n time series. We call it VAR, vector autocorrelation, to test the correlation of different cities. Yes. Anything else? Any questions? I mean,
All right. I'll let everyone to ask you questions. Thanks.
I have a question. The project about housing pricing and those things that you have mentioned, you have worked on it.
Yeah.
What was the result of that project at the end of the day?
Very good questions, because basically we find that the house near each other will have much more impact, which makes sense, right? You don't expect that the house price in Los Angeles will impact significantly to the house in the Boston. I think that's not the cases. So we
And
find that, yeah, go ahead.
sorry to interrupt you. And about the kind of like you have mentioned that those cities may have subway or something. So was there any relation between